Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to everyone. We're back again in our deep dives into Amaka's book, and that's the DPO Foundations book. We have a return from our presenter, Izu, and he is coming back this time with privacy impact assessments. He last was with us with understanding privacy risk and harm, and this time is giving us privacy impact assessments. I'm not going to be too long. I'll say, Izu, take it away. Oh,
Okay, thank you so much, Prince. Confirm you can see my screen.
yeah.
All right. Once more, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are joining from. My name is Izunna, and we are here for another session for the DPO's community hangout. I'll call this hangout because here we learn and we try to grow with one another. So today we'll be deep diving into PIA, Privacy Impact Assessment. We want to look at what it entails, what it requires, when do we trigger it, how do we know it is required, and so. So under this session, we would understand what the privacy impact assessment is, its purpose. We'll be able to identify when PIA, that is privacy impact assessment, are legally required. When is it legally required? When do you need it? Yeah, how to conduct it. We'll look at it in a bit, and we'll also touch at how to identify and evaluate mitigation measures, and so. So we'll look at it. So, what is privacy impact assessment? I just gave a summary of it, but I want you to be sure that this summary does not do justice to it because I had to summarize it and say it's a structured process to identify and mitigate privacy risk before implementing a data processing activity. And we can also say it is a systematic, yes, because it's a step by step. Before you perform a privacy impact assessment, you need to understand why is it needed. Are the conditions met to perform privacy impact assessment? Is it linked to a data subject? So these are some of the questions you begin to ask with respect to privacy impact assessment. So I was trying to also give you another definition to tell you it's a systematic process for evaluating the potential privacy risk of a project. It could be a project because some projects requires data subjects. So project, it could be a system, a technology tool, it could be a policy, it could be a processing activity. So whatever it is, it could require a privacy impact assessment. And it involves describing what personal data will be processed. Yeah. What kind of personal data will be processed, how it will be processed, assess whether the processing activity is necessary. Is it necessary? Take, for example, I will bring something to our attention. I had an experience. So my company at some point we wanted to um, bring in a shuttle system for the company. The company was looking at, oh, what is the cost benefits, bringing in a staff bus and just renting a shuttle system within Nigeria. And we began to look at it. So our company said we would give them people, individual persons will register with their name, their company position, and so on and so forth to identify you and so on. But when it came to my table, I began to look at it. Is there any way we can avoid individual staff putting in their names or any form of identity there and let it just be the face of the company? So that began to trigger a privacy impact assessment. So something as little as that, because we are sharing staff information, their personal details, data out there to a company, to a third party. So we are putting them somehow at risk. If there is a data breach in that firm, we have putting the staff at risk. So all these are what we begin to look at. What is the risk involved? Is it going to be severe? And so on and so forth. So these are things that there are a whole lot of projects we can imagine implementing an HR tool. HR tool. It requires a proper privacy impact assessment. If the tool will be recruiting, if the tool will be processing medical information, will it be processing personal and sensitive information? So these are all what we begin to cross-check. These are all the pain points, risk points, privacy impact assessment raises up for us as data protection officer. So we say privacy risk assessment. Now we evaluate what do we do when we say privacy risk assessment. All we are just going is we are just taking it towards the area of risk assessment. How do we evaluate the likelihood? So would there be a data breach? Would there be a need to transfer large data? Would there be a need to collect existing personal information, sensitive information, or new ones? So all these are what we check. What are the likelihoods or severity to prioritize mitigation efforts effectively? Now, for privacy, so for privacy impact assessment, why it matters, why is it, why do we need it? On what ground? Who brought it up? Where is it coming from? So we can find it under the Article 35 of the GDPR. Privacy impact assessment is mandated under that to assess the privacy risk and avoid regulatory penalties and reputational damage. Now, this is how it is mentioned within GDPR, that is the global standard. Now, I believe every region, for Nigeria, we have it as data protection impact assessment. It's just the same. For Nigerian brothers and sisters on the call, that is what the privacy impact assessment is. They are similar. I'm not sure what it is called for other African countries. Maybe they use just the same language as the GDPR, that is the PIA, but they all mean the same. And the PIA is required when processing is likely to result in a high risk to the rights and freedom of natural persons. So a project is going on and we require to process personal information, sensitive information, and so on, we must ensure we assess, will there be a potential breach? You know, most times when you ask that question in our assessment, will there be a potential breach? A lot of persons are quick to say no. They are very, very quick to say no because, you know, they want to cover their ends. They want to ensure, oh, nothing stops this project from going on. Nothing breaks this project from continuing. So let's just answer no. But the truth is, as DPOs, we must ensure when we see such response, no, we begin to drill down further questions to the processor or to the internal processor, external processor. So these questions helps you to begin to look at, okay, what are the possibilities of this happening? Will it be transferred from one region to another? Would it be transferred over a physical medium? Will it be stored where? Are there certain controls? So all these are what we need to take into consideration before we can truly ascertain, oh, that question is a no. There was a time I was running this assessment, and at the tail end, I had to put, at this point, no unknown risk. I learned that language from Amaka. I learned in one of our engagements. She said, you at that point, it's a no. What happens after then? So you must have an open mind. You must be able to teach your data subjects or your processors that term. They must have an open mind. At this point, there are no known risks. At this point, we have discovered. So everybody has an open mind that there could be risks somewhere, maybe risks as a result of access control, risk as a result of improper sharing. You maybe in your company you have two Amaka or two Adebayos, and you share it to the wrong Adebayo. That is a breach. Imagine you have shared sensitive medical reports to Adebayo, the wrong Adebayo, who is not supposed to have access to. That's a breach. So all these are what we need to keep our mind open on as much as possible. So we said the GDPR will provide 3 specific examples for processing of processing that requires a PIA, and supervisory authority have provided additional guidance on triggers. So there are a lot of additional guides for trigger. And what are they? One, a systematic and extensive evaluation or scoring, including profiling. So that is one. Is it an automatic decision-making tool? Is it a scoring tool? Is it a hiring tool? And AI, now we have AI hiring tool. How do we complement privacy of individuals, data subjects, with respect to how it makes decisions? So these are things we need to put in place. Large scale processing, I mentioned it earlier, large scale processing. You are processing information of about 100,000 data subjects. That's large scale. Even 5,000 is large scale. So this is what triggers a PIA. Then systematic monitoring of public accessible areas. So these are aspects, these are things that trigger a PIA, I'm just trying to mention them to us. Systematic monitoring of an area, which of a public area, that is a CCTV, implanting a CCTV in a public area. So we want to understand, why was it implanted there? On what lawful basis is it there for? That is what we want to understand. Are there sensors within it? Does it capture facial recognitions? Does it track locations and so on? So these are what we need to know, because a lot of data subjects are moving around there. Why are you doing that? Is it for public interest? Is it for vital interest? Is it a consent? Is it a legal obligation? So all these are what you want to continuously understand. Then other triggers come from maybe research. We have sensitive profiling. We have data concerning vulnerable individuals like children, elders, patients, employees, and so on. So all these are aspects that we must take into consideration. The moment we notice any of all these coming up, then it is required. It has triggered a PIE, a privacy impact assessment. So, like we have here, we said strategic risk management. Within the document, we're able to see how PIA helps organization identify and address privacy risks early enough within the document. So we are not here to really tear the entire document. It goes about, if I'm not mistaken, about 30, over 30 pages, but we are able to, shrink everything here. So I would encourage us to get the book. It's awesome. It's a step-by-step guide. It helps you to understand what to do at each stage. Now, it also helps us with informed decision. Why it matters, informed decision. PIA empowers management to balance business goals, innovation, and individual privacy through documented choices, processes, and so on. It builds trust and accountability. The PIA demonstrates commitment to privacy, improves system design, security, and user experience to gain stakeholder trust. Now, imagine, um, just imagine a scenario where you install an application and you don't even, I know a lot of us at some point, we don't even read through the privacy notice. We don't even check if there is a consent. Do I need to consent, or are they just deep diving into my information? So all these are what we need to check. Loan companies, mortgage companies, do you just deep dive into people's information? Do you develop application? Banking sector, what kind of application do you develop? Do you ensure, while collecting data subjects information, you give them the right to explicit consent? So these are questions we want, because when you give them that right, that choice to make these decisions, you are gradually building trust for your organization. They understand that you know what you're doing. The organization is particular about their rights. So let's quickly look at what is required. Yeah, what do we require for step-by-step process for a PIA? We want to see what is required. It says determine whether a PIA is required. We must determine PIA requirements. And before beginning a PIA, we must determine if it's required. How do we determine if it's required? Review the triggers. What are the triggers we discussed? Is it a large-based processing activity? And so on. Is it processing vulnerable sectors, vulnerable data subjects, children, elderly, patients? So these are what you begin to check first. Is it going to is it going to check is it going to impede on people's privacy in the public space? You're putting on CCTV camera in a public space. So all these are what we begin to check. If there is a doubt, you think, oh, I am not sure of this, it's better to ask these questions. You as a data protection officer, you don't need to know it. You need to reach out to the process owner or the project owner. Ask them these questions, interact with them. You could create a questionnaire. I have one. Maybe before the end of the session, I could display them, what I use for my own organization. So we begin to look at it. Okay, each and every one of these questions. What would you be transferring their information? Would you be storing their information? How secured is it? So these are the first requirements we begin to look at. Then the second is describe data processing. So we begin to look at detail of the nature, context, purpose of data use, including flows, data flow. How is it going to flow? What are the retention policies? Is it going to be transferred from one region to another? Cross-border transfer. So these are step by step. This is what you begin to understand. How will it be collected? The information be collected. What legal base, what lawful base would you be processing that information on? How would the data be deleted or anonymized? How long will you retain the information? So all these are what you begin to look at. Like I said, you really need to get the book because it's very, very important. This my summarized version will not do justice to it, but these are the steps we need to understand. Then step 3, assess necessity and proportionality. Evaluate if data use can be minimized or made less intrusive while achieving objective. That is where we begin to think of data minimization. Okay, all right, we have checked step 1, step 2. Okay, what kind of information are we collecting? Names, contact address, email, phone number, medical record, family names, children names. So you begin to look at all these data you're collecting. Are they necessary to complete this project, this processing activity? That is the question you begin to ask. Could we take off this? If we take off this part, we will still achieve what we want. So are there alternative approach we can use? So all these are questions you as a data privacy and protection officer, you must ensure you have an open mind. You're not coming with, remember, your position is an advisory position. It's not an implementation position, a position that implements. No, you advise, you take the process owner through a journey. You ensure they understand it as much as possible. They see reasons why you are right. That is the goal. They see reasons why you as the data protection officer is right. So you know I begin to see it more as emotional intelligence. So you as a data protection officer, how much of emotional intelligence do you have to ensure? Because this can't happen with an autocratic voice. No, it can't. It can't happen. You making them, mandating them, you must do this, you must take this out. No, 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 no. You will keep having it front and back. But taking them through a journey, through a process, ensuring they understand, ensuring they see reasons, ensuring they see it from the seat of the data subject. What if you're the data subject? Will you release all this information? And so on. And the next is identify and mitigate the risk. So we begin to look at, okay, we have understood, we are processing a large information, we are doing it for this specific demography, and we are processing A, B, C, D information. So what do we do? We use frameworks to identify privacy risk and define technical control. And that is where your technical ability begins to come into place as a data privacy and protection officer. Do you understand ISO 27001? Those are the basics. ISO 27002. Do you understand those frameworks? Do you understand the end-to-end technical controls and so on? Do you understand how to implement it? You might not know how to implement it, but you must know how it works. So these are just step-by-step guides on how to ensure you successfully implement this successfully. And to be sincere, it's as easy as you can think. It's as simple and easy as you can think. If you follow that step by step, understand what you are meant to achieve after each step, understand what position you should stand with, and you are good to go. So we would look at how do we identify, assess, and reduce privacy risk. How do we do this? Um, there are a lot of ways we can begin to understand this. We have the risk identification, identify potential risks, vulnerabilities, harms. When we process this information, what kind of risks? You need to be open-minded. You need to see through just beyond what is on the table. Risk assessment, assess the risks by evaluating the likelihood. Risk is the probability this is going to happen. So that should be at the forefront of your mind. What is the probability that we will be hacked tomorrow? What is the probability that we could have a data breach tomorrow? How can it happen? So these are relevant questions. How do I keep my sensitive data safe? And risk mitigation, like we discussed earlier, apply technical organizational controls. We have physical controls, um, user-facing measures to reduce risk, and so on. You have data minimization, you have access control, you have anonymization, you have encryption. So all these are what we need to know. All these are required. All these are what we need to understand. Then we can't eliminate the aspect of policies, procedures, the aspect of training and awareness. Because if your users, your staff members, your colleagues are trained properly and aware of privacy requirements, then there won't be an issue. Privacy by design, they are all aware. Vendor risk management, they are all aware. Contractual safeguards, they are all aware. Incident response plan, they are all aware of it. So these are how we begin to ensure, okay, are we on track with respect to privacy by design. We discussed that a couple of weeks ago. Privacy by default, and so on and so forth. We can't also eliminate the aspect of transparency and right enablement. Clear privacy notice. Clear. There are a lot I would have loved to show us, but we are constrained with time. But clear privacy notice. We are utilizing your information for this purpose. State it clearly and clearly. We are retaining your information for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. State it. For me, I don't have a problem if you are retaining an information for 30 years, but you must state why you are retaining it for that long. Is it for legal reasons? Is it with respect to contract obligation? You must state it. Consent mechanism. Every data subject should give explicit consent, not consent by enforcement. No, they must have the button of no or yes. I give my consent. I do not give my consent for this. Opt-out mechanism, objection mechanism. So all these are what you need to put in place. Data subject access request process. So all these, there are a whole lot of them. We are just trying to touch base on each and every one of this. So very, very important. Very, very important. So we'll now begin to, sorry about that. So we now begin to look at how do we document these activities? How do we document? We have identified all this. How do we report? How do we make final decisions? How do we ensure everyone is right in place? Everything has been done appropriately. The PIA report is a key accountability document. It's very, very key. You can't be through with the assessment and you don't give a report. No. It must be made available to all stakeholders. Very, very important. All stakeholders. It must be made available to them so that they understand, okay, these are the findings, these are the recommendations, who is it, the RACI procedure, yeah, the owner accountability and so on. So who is accountable for this? Who is the risk owner for this? Who is the implementer for this? And so on. These are what you need to show up in your report. Then ensure that your report is accepted. You are not imposing it on them. Your privacy impact assessment, it is accepted. It is approved by all. Do not, most especially a senior management staff. So you must ensure that it is approved so that you are not working you are not working just on your own. You're just backing and backing. No. Once it is approved by an executive, senior member, or so management staff, you are sure that we are ready to implement. Then you begin to implement, you follow up, you monitor, you ensure that, oh, all these have been put in place, you retest user UAT test, you ensure that you test and test and test again, and it is really up to perfection. So there are a lot of places where we can find templates on the guide. I mean, the GDPR, we have templates. I was able to design a template for my own company based on just based on the NDPR guide for Nigeria. So depending on where you are, you could design anything for your own part. I'm trying to pull up one so that we can all view together and see what it looks like. So please confirm if you can see my screen, what I've just displayed now. Prince,
Yes,
can you see what I've just displayed?
yes, we can see your form. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, with guidance, with respect to the law guiding my region, I was able to pull up this. Yeah, but there are templates on the guide which the commission gave, so I have to translate it to this. So you can see, how will personal data be collected? So this is my data protection impact assessment template. They should give me a response. What element of data will be captured? Is it the name? You want to know everything. What nature of personal data is collected? So you must understand question 2 is different from question 3. So a smart person will come in question 2 and tell you, oh, I am collecting financial data. But when you drill down to question 3, what personal data, then they begin to know, oh, this is what you are requesting for. So you must understand the difference between this, understand what you are looking out for. What is the volume and variety of personal data? Does this include children or other vulnerable persons? What are the purpose of processing the personal data? What are the purpose? These are what we have discussed before now. Will data be processed automatically by a software or manually by people? You want to know, because if it's processed automatically by a software, then you begin to drill down. Oh, okay. You want to see the data flow diagram. You want to see technical controls on that system. How will the system be built? There are questions you want to ask them. If it's by people, you want to understand, are they trained? So each question, each answer pops your mind to something. Description of the envisaged processing operation. The extent and frequency of processing, duration of processing, you can see it. All these are questions you want to know. The number of data subjects likely to be involved, 1 million, 10,000, 5,000. The geography, you want to know. What is the mode of storage? Likely length of storage. What are the protection measures? Will a novel type of processing be used? You want to understand, are there research? Are there analytics or so? You want to understand. How will the data be used? Who has access? How will the data be deleted and erased? State the lawful base for processing. Give reasons of your choice. So why, when you tell me consent, why? I want to understand your thinking. So there are a whole lot of them, about 40 questions here. And these questions drills down, ensures it makes the process owner spit out all requirements, every information you need to collect. So with this, you begin to create your report. I would have loved to show you a report, but I don't have an empty version. Let me see. I don't have an empty version here. Okay. But if we go online, we can see, go to GDPR, we could see samples of reports and so on.
Let me share
So,
one with you.
oh, okay, 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 okay. So want to drop, I want us to quickly look at something. a scenario-based question, and let's walk around it. So I'll be bringing this. I just opened this. Confirm. You can see my PDF document. Is it visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so this is a scenario. Um, it says Mindwell is a proposed mobile application that provides mental health support through a combination of self-help resources, AI-powered chatbot therapy, and connections to licensed therapists. The app is being developed by healthcare technology startup and will be available in multiple countries. So, everyone, what comes to our mind? What comes to our mind? I want to drop this in the chat box. So I'm dropping it in the chat box. Well, I can't drop it any longer. Okay, it's in the chat box. So please, let's discuss. Just 3 minutes. What comes to our mind? Is anybody raising up his hands? You want to, Prince, do you want to check if we have anybody who wants to contribute?
No
Okay,
raised hand. Oh,
okay, we
we've
have,
got chats there.
okay. Yes, thank you so much. So we have health data sensitive. You want to really be looking out for that sensitive data, cross-border transfer. Awesome. Is that the only two we are looking at? We have something speaking about AI. Is anybody thinking of something else? If AI will be making decisions, yes, data residence, yes, it is a high-risk AI system due to health data. So we are all on the same space. We are all looking at it in the same line. So we understand. Yes, thank you so much. Okay.
I've
Um,
just sent Teams
yeah,
DPI there. So it's this is like you had said, it can be for anything as long as it involves identity of individual. So this is a DPIA on Microsoft Teams alone.
yeah, thank you so much. So I'm trying to open to display to everyone, but okay, open. All right. So we can see what it looks like. So this is something that has been generated. Document name, we have owner and so on. Okay. Okay, so you can see it. So this looks like, okay, this is a report summary. Okay, this is a good guide and so on. So we can, yeah, data categories, data subject, recipients, and so on. So you can see how this kind of, so the reporting can be in any format. It can be in any format as long as we capture every requirement within it. So I'm trying to look at time to ensure I don't exceed time. So in summary, In summary, as data privacy and protection officers, privacy impact assessment is one very important assessment we can't overlook. No matter how small that processing activity is, even though it's just for 10 data subjects, you must ensure that privacy impact assessment is conducted. And what are you looking at? You're ensuring um, you are assessing how this engagement will go with respect to data processing activities. So we must, at every point in time, ask the relevant questions. Ensure we ask those questions. How will we process this information as we have displayed? Where we would get this information from? Who will be processing it? What kind of information are we processing? What kind of data will we be storing? How long will we be storing them? And so much more. So thank you so much. I think Prince, you can take over here and let's open the floor for questions so we can discuss.
All right. I'll just check if anyone's got questions. So we'll give you a chance on the floor to talk. Anyone? You just use the raise hand feature at the bottom. If anyone has a question, just feel free to
Yeah,
ask.
from your region, you could also say um, how you've done it within your region. Are you within the EU? Are you within Africa? Maybe Ghana, Cameroon, South Africa. How do you perform it there? What is required? So it's open for also discussion. Let's hear what you have experienced in your own line of job.
While we wait for somebody to raise, I'll just make a comment on something you mentioned earlier. You talked about training, and that's something I think a lot of DPOs tend to overlook because it's assumed training is something basic, the same way we treat what do you call that? The training for cybersecurity. Uh, Training for privacy is just as important because it means unlike cybersecurity where its systems compromised and maybe data, right? And possibly financials of the company. With privacy, it's now individuals that the company is serving, that the company interacts with, and individuals within the company itself. So it's that much more damaging to individuals. And because of that, I don't know how Nigeria treats it, but with us, it would fall into gross negligence, and there's pretty heavy fines that can come with it. The monetary fines are not too much, but it's actually attached. Their prison sentences attached, like up to 7 years in prison. Their side. So I actually found it interesting when you mentioned training because training is it's like before you come and you introduce processes, people have to understand why those processes now have to become part of the company. And until they do that, it becomes easy for people's minds or actions to lapse. And I just thought it was just something I could do XYZ with.
No, no, you're very, very correct, Prince. So just my experience, because I have a whole lot of experience with respect to this, because I have worked with organizations who I started data privacy and protection from scratch. So you walk into, I have been in an organization where I was introduced. Oh, this is our data privacy, and people are like, okay, what's he going to be doing? All right. Are you going to be accounting for money? No. Are you in IT? No. Are you in legal? No. So what are you doing? Why are we paying you? So I have I've gotten such because I have worked with organizations, at least about three organizations. I built it from scratch. And my first year is just awareness training. I just bump into their departments and they are all having their departmental meeting. I greet the HOD. I would have done my discussion with the HOD before then, and I'll just bump into them. And the HOD gives me 5 minutes. And I just, wow, data privacy and protection. I enlighten them. I talk about it. It's it was just the only thing I did for a year. Just it. Awareness, training, enlightenment for a whole year before I begin to introduce policies, procedures, because nobody's going to listen to you for policies if you don't know what you are doing. Yeah. So, like you said, it is very, very important, very vital. You can't achieve anything if the person you are relating does not even understand your terms. He needs to even understand, okay, when you mention data subjects, who are they? He does not even know him himself as an employee is a data subject to the company. So training and awareness is as important as conducting a privacy impact assessment.
Hmm. Okay, it seems people are either afraid to talk or your presentation was so deep. There is nothing to ask.
No, we need to. That's why most times that's why I don't like presenting because I like to learn from others. I also want people to say, no, Izunna, you didn't say this properly. This was wrong, and so on. I just like to learn. So I wish people could contribute could say one or two things, how they see it, and so on, so that we can all learn from one another. But it's fine if nobody's.
But oh, there's somebody. Oh, wait. This is insightful. I'm a DPO and implementer. How does this affect my work in Zimbabwe? I would say the more you learn about it, the more you understand the responsibility on the plate. If you saw the document that we shared, this is just for a Teams meeting. So you imagine this: you are a company and you are going to be hosting maybe a bunch of organizations, and each of those organizations is going to have their representative coming in. But you want to obviously confirm the identities of individuals. So you're going to need ways to do so. And in so doing, you now are going to be able to identify specific individuals. And now, you've done all that. The next question becomes, okay, you're working with that. So that obviously is triggering a DPIA. Now, what platform are you using? Maybe you're using Teams. Okay. Where is Teams going to be storing this? Because maybe you're recording the session. There are people who've requested recording. Where is it storing that session? Or it's storing it in their servers. Where are those servers? You have to query all this. Now we are talking about maybe cross-border flows of data. You're now going to be including that in your DPIA. So your DPIA is not something that's going to be like 1 or 2 pages. A DPIA can go I've seen some that are like 40, 50 pages just for one process, one process. And if uh, if you haven't actually started on them, the worst part is actually starting with DPIAs from scratch, because that's where the most work is, because you have to look at everything. And this is where, say, what Izu talked about, the Linden process comes in. You're now looking at all your systems. What are you using? What involves personal data and the issues that might now trigger the DPIAs? And you now go on using that, Lyndon, again. You're now going to be using it to actually identify and work on your DPIA. And take note, you're doing this at the beginning. So you're doing this for every system. You are putting CCTVs. Where are they positioned? Who is being captured? Are they aware they are being captured? How long are you keeping that data? Is there a legitimate what legal basis for that
Legal
processing?
basis.
All that you now need to document it. If it's not documented, the question now comes is this now comes back to accountability. How can you be accountable if you are not actually doing all the necessary steps? You're not notifying people, you're not keeping documentation on everything is the most important thing because eventually when it comes, let's say that video from CCTV is stolen and maybe somebody sees their spouse doing miscellaneous in the background. You've captured the road beyond your premises, and somebody now comes and queries, why was I captured? You have to be answerable, yeah, because you are accountable. So, and all this would have been addressed if you did what? Your DPIA, which would have said, don't point it too far from the gate. Keep it close. And that's how it affects you. The more you understand, the more you know the burden that's involved. And the more you understand the burden, the more work you know you have to do. So yeah, I don't know if if you would say more, but I think that's
No, no, no,
how
you're on
something like
track.
that. Yeah.
I totally align with you. But I don't know if whoever asked the question, if he or she has, if he or she is very, very clear on it. Because it's just simple. The more you continue to work on it, the more you continue to learn, the more you continue to do it. That's just it.
And yes,
You know,
this actually comes. Oh, sorry.
no, no, I just wanted to say data privacy and protection is not a static job role. It's a dynamic one. You must be legally inclined. You must have an administrative skill. You must have a little of technical skill. You must also have managerial skill. You must be able to manage people's emotions, reactions towards what you bring. Because I have seen so much. You just see people tell you, please go away with this. No, you don't need to flare up with them. Just make them understand why it is important. And the beautiful thing is, management would not interfere. It's your duty to ensure the culture flows. Management will just give you approval, endorsement, carry on your, but it's your duty to ensure that culture is imbibed in every employee, everyone around there. So that's just it.
Yeah. Okay, we are seeing silence. Maybe people are that happy with the presentation. But oh yes, what I wanted to say was it comes back to something you once said. I think maybe it was your last presentation where you said privacy is always about knowledge. You cannot stop reading once you start in privacy because you need to learn what you don't know so that you can fix that issue. You can't say you know everything. You attended the training and you're done. No, it's a continuous process, always more and more to learn. And okay, so I think we can assume people won't have no questions. So with that, I have to say thank you, Izu, for your presentation. The coming week, we are looking at its privacy by design and by default. Um, oh, there's an attendee with a question. Bose, please ask. Bose, you
Sorry, I just wanted to. Hello, good
Yes,
evening.
we can hear you.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I just want to add that DPI is something that we must be ready to communicate in a language the business, the other party understands, because as the presenter mentioned, that many people see the data protection process as a dry area, not interesting. So we need to have that people skill to be able to, you know, encourage them to come out of their shell so that you can get the best. Because having clarity and understanding of what that tool or system, the software they want to use, how it works for the business, it's important for them to give us the facts. And the more they open up, the more the facts they will give to us so that we can advise them on the mitigation on the risk that may arise to people's privacy. So that's what I want to add. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, boss. I hope I'm pronouncing it okay, boss.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I think Anselme is asking if you can share your template, Izu. I don't know if that's possible. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
I will share with you so I can share with General House.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, that's all right. Okay. If there are any more questions, okay. I hope that answers you, Anselme. Okay. So next week we should be moving to privacy by default and design. And I think it's Ian Olana who did that. I'll reach out to him and see if he'll be available for a presentation. If not, we'll work something out. But for today, I would say I'll give thanks and give a round of applause to Izu to say thank you for the presentation. We will have this up for those who might want to really revisit the video. It will be available on YouTube. So be on the lookout. I'll share the link once it's available. To everyone that had time to attend, thank you so much for your time and attendance. And we thank you for continuing your continued support of the network. Izu and everyone who participated, thank you. And have a great evening, morning, afternoon.
Yeah,
Have
bye
a great
bye.
day. Bye. Bye, everyone.